Hi, this is Chef Sally with a Virtual Feast, my cooking classes. And I'm here today with Montgomery Farmers Market, and we're going to talk about some of the ingredients that I picked up at the farmers market. We do encourage you to come out and support local farmers and vendors. And my goal is to educate you on using clean, sustainable, local, healthy, organic ingredients. I know they've made a huge difference in my health, just even in the last few years. I know that they would make a big difference in yours as well. And when you buy local, you don't have to worry about some of the supply chain issues that you might experience at the grocery store. If you're buying local, you don't have to worry about that. Today, I'm going to do a banh mi meatball. It's similar to a banh mi sandwich, but it's a little more portable and it's a little more versatile. So you can use it in salads or soups or even a sandwich. You can make a banh mi meatball sandwich. And I'm gonna do a banh mi meatball bowl today. I try to buy certified organic anytime that I can. And if I can't, I try to make sure it's at least local. The meatballs are gonna be served over some roasted sweet potatoes and some of the greens that I bought at the farmer's market. And then I'm gonna make a nice little Vietnamese mayonnaise sauce to go with it. So we're gonna start with our sweet potatoes. We wanna get those in the oven, and then we're gonna work on our meatballs. And then I'll walk you through making the sauce and talk about the pickled onions that we're gonna do to top it, just like a banh mi sandwich. I took about 3 small, medium-ish organic sweet potatoes, and I didn't even peel them. I just diced them because I like the peel. It's good for you. It's full of vitamins. I made them into about a 1/2-inch dice. I wasn't real careful about making them perfect dice. I would typically do that if I were cooking for an upscale party, but I want to use every bit of the sweet potato that I can. I scrubbed them and then I diced them, and I just put them in a little baking dish. It's just a little 9x9 square baking dish. And then I'm gonna add some melted organic refined coconut oil. And I want to talk to you about the difference between refined and unrefined virgin coconut oil. So the refined is better for cooking because it will withstand temperatures up to 450 degrees. It is vegan and it's gluten-free. I'm going to just take this melted coconut oil and I'm going to drizzle it over the sweet potatoes. You just want a little bit. This was probably 2 tablespoons. You just toss them, make sure they're evenly coated with the oil. And you could use avocado oil too if you wanted to. I'm gonna just cover them with a little bit of foil. And I'm gonna put it in a 375-degree oven. And it'll take about 20 minutes. We're gonna work on our meatballs while we're waiting for the sweet potatoes. I'm gonna take a large bowl, and then we're gonna take about a pound of ground pork. I got this from Twisted Tea Farms at the farmer's market over the weekend. Then I'm gonna add about a 1/4 cup of chopped carrots. Then we're gonna use some ginger. This is a little more than a tablespoon. These are really useful if you're making a soup. I take these and put them in a cheesecloth and then just infuse them in my bone broth or my regular chicken broth or my vegetable broth, and then I can make a lovely Asian soup. I like a lot of ginger. You can always use less. And then I'm gonna dump 2 tablespoons of cilantro. I'm gonna use some, I used the garlic, the squeezed garlic that you can get, the organic squeezed garlic that you can get at the grocery store. You can always use regular fresh garlic as well. I'm gonna use some fresh jalapeno, and this is about a tablespoon, about a heaping tablespoon. So if you don't like heat, you might wanna use a little bit less. I'm kind of a baby when it comes to heat, so I'm not gonna use all of it. I've got some daikon radish. And if you don't know what daikon is, it's an Asian radish, and it's lovely. It's got like a nice spicy bite to it, like a regular radish, but it's a little more intense. So a little goes a long way. This is what the daikon radish looks like in the grocery stores. If you ever seen one of these and you didn't know what it was, that's what it is. I'm going to add a whole egg that I got at Serenity Homestead. This is about a little less than a 1/4 cup of low sodium soy sauce. Now, if you're averse to soy, you can always use coconut aminos. I use them all the time. And then I'm gonna add some sesame oil. This is about a tablespoon. This gives it a lovely umami flavor. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of fish sauce, about 2 teaspoons. A little bit of rice vinegar. And this is about a tablespoon. You'll notice I didn't add salt. I've got soy sauce in here. It's plenty of salt. And then I'm gonna add about half of this ground almond flour. You don't want these to be too dry. I just want enough in there so that this kind of pulls together. And I'm gonna mix it all up. And then we'll see where it is. If it's not forming a good solid ball, we'll add some more almond flour. Now my meatballs are kind of sloppy, so I'm gonna add some more. I'm gonna take some more of that coconut oil, the refined coconut oil, and I'm gonna just take the spoon and I'm gonna put a little bit on my sheet pan. We're gonna start forming our meatballs. So I'm just gonna take a little bit. The smaller you make the meatballs, the faster they're gonna cook. So these are, I don't know, about 2 inches maybe. And they're still kind of loose, so they may end up just being little meat patties, which is totally fine. You can always add more almond flour or breadcrumbs to the mixture. They're kind of flattening out. That's totally okay. What you definitely don't want to do is overdo it on the breadcrumbs because they end up being tough and dry. And you do have to be careful when you're cooking with almond flour and coconut flour because they will burn faster than regular breadcrumbs, or if you're using regular flour, they do tend to burn faster. These are small, so they should take about 20 minutes to cook. You just want to make sure that they are firm, they're cooked all the way through, and with ground pork you want to make sure that it's, when you take it out of the oven, that it's about 155 degrees on the inside. It will continue to cook for another 5-10 minutes, which is called residual cooking. It will heat them up to the proper safe temperature. You do want to leave them spaced out a little bit because as loose as I've got these, they're going to spread just a little bit. I'm going to set the timer for 15 minutes because I need to check the sweet potatoes. We're going to talk about the pickled onions that I did. This is a really quick pickle. And all you have to do is slice up some red onion super thin. You can also add some carrot and some daikon if you wanted to. And I added about a half a cup of organic apple cider vinegar and some organic cane sugar. About a tablespoon of organic cane sugar. You can add a little bit more if you want them a little sweeter. And about half a teaspoon of salt. And I just mixed it all together and put the onions in there. And they've been sitting for at least 30 minutes now. It takes about an hour to pickle them. And just make sure that they're almost completely submerged. You may have to push them down with a fork every now and then, but these should be ready by the time we're ready to assemble our plate. Next, I'm gonna do the sauce that goes with the meatballs. Typically, when you have a banh mi sandwich, you either have some kind of a fish sauce type sauce, or you have a mayonnaise that goes on the banh mi sandwich. So I'm gonna try to mimic the flavors of that mayonnaise in this sauce. So I've got, this is probably about 3/4 of a cup of mayonnaise. We're gonna add that to our mixing bowl. And if you're a vegan, you can always use Vegenaise. You can make your own mayonnaise from scratch using some of those awesome fresh eggs from Serenity Homestead. And then I'm gonna add, this is about a teaspoon of organic garlic powder, about a teaspoon of ginger paste. This is organic ginger paste that you can get in the produce section. I'm going to add some soy sauce. Again, you can use coconut aminos if you'd like to. And I'm going to use almost all of it. I don't want it to be too salty. We can always taste and adjust later. And about a half a teaspoon of fish sauce, a little drizzle of sesame oil. I don't want to use all of this because I don't want it to be too oily, but I do want the flavor of the sesame oil in there. And a little bit of rice wine vinegar, probably about half a teaspoon. Stir that up. We're also going to add some sugar, but I want to stir this up first. I want to try to work most of the lumps out of it. Now you're going to have some lumps from the garlic and the ginger. And if you use fresh garlic, you'll definitely have some lumps in there. And I'm going to add about a tablespoon of sugar. Not a whole lot. I just wanted to have a little bit of sweetness to it. So I'm going to taste this actually and just see if it needs anything else. You should always taste your food while you're cooking. Obviously we couldn't taste the meatballs, and I wanted to talk to you also about a way to test your meatballs before you put them all in the oven. What I usually do is take a skillet and just heat up a little bit of oil, and then I take and make just a little bitty, like a tiny hamburger patty, and just so I can taste the flavor. I cook it completely through, and then I taste it and just make sure I don't need to adjust anything before I start forming the meatballs and putting them in the oven. So I'm gonna taste this. It needs a little more sugar. Okay, so we're gonna take this and set it to the side, and then I'm gonna get ready to start plating. So let's go ahead and test our sweet potatoes and our meatballs. The best way to test a sweet potato, or any potato, to see if it's done, is to stick a fork in it. If it falls off the fork easily and there's no resistance, they're done. So these are perfect. They're not mushy. They're still holding their shape, but they are cooked through. My beautiful meatballs. Look at those. Aren't they gorgeous? They've got some beautiful color to them. And they flattened out a little bit like I said they would, so we're gonna call them sliders instead. When you're taking them out, if you're not experienced with cooking things like ground meat, I would use a meat thermometer and just make sure when you take them out of the oven, they're at least 150, 155 degrees on the inside, because they will continue to cook for about 5-10 minutes after you take them out of the oven, so the temperature will keep rising. And that helps if you bring them out just a little before they reach the temperature they're supposed to be, and then the temperature keeps rising, you can make sure they're not going to overcook and be dry. Finish them. We're going to add some of this beautiful sauce, a little bit on each one. Now you could grab a squeeze bottle. I do that at dinner parties all the time just to make things look fancy. I'll grab an empty squeeze bottle and I'll just kind of drizzle it over the top. And then I'm going to take some sriracha and then just kind of drizzle it across the top. So pretty. Gives it a little more color and a little heat. And then I'm gonna take, I washed these ahead of time and then just put them back in the container. I got these from Spring Harvest, Texas at the Montgomery Farmers Market. These are cilantro microgreens. And if you look at them, you can see the little coriander balls on the end of it. You know how you can buy whole coriander? That's what these are, these little coriander seeds. Now the thing about microgreens that I love is that whatever microgreen you've got has roughly, it's not always exact, but roughly 40 times the nutrition that you could get from actually eating the plant that they come from. So if you are averse to vegetables, this is a good way to get more bang for your buck when you're trying to eat your vegetables and stay healthy. You can get tons of nutrition from these. So here are my banh mi meatballs over sweet potatoes with cilantro microgreens. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen. I really appreciate it, and I hope you were able to learn a few things, and I hope that you can make this dish on your own at home. And please feel free to substitute ingredients if there's something you don't have. You can use chicken instead of pork, you can use beef, whatever you've got on hand. Please don't go out and buy all of these ingredients if you don't have them. Just use what you've got. Be creative and make your own dish. I always encourage creativity in the kitchen. So thank you. Until next time, have a great day.